Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Over the last few days, there's been a rising story regarding the Nat West Bank and banks in general, but particularly the Nat West. This bank was one of those that took away the account from Nigel Farage. Now, love him or loathe him, Nigel Farage does at least deserve to have a bank account, and it is completely wrong for any bank to close your account simply because of your political views, the views that don't align with the directors of the bank. Coots closed him, they didn't reopen. Nat West closed him, and they didn't reopen his account. And what is worse, and this is the ultimate betrayal, is that the director of Nat West leaked the story, leaked personal details about his account to the BBC. This is Nigel Farage's account. They leaked that to the BBC because they don't like him. Well, who's next? What bank has the right to, first of all, withdraw an account because they don't like your politics, and secondly, to then leak your personal details to a broadcaster who they think aligns with their views, in the hope that this broadcaster could then smear, use the personal information from their ex-customer to smear him, to make him look bad in public because he's highlighted them. It stinks. It absolutely stinks. Now, Alison Rose, who's the director in question, was forced to resign. But in actual fact, it should be the entire board forced to resign. They went along with it. She is the scapegoat. They're trying to get rid of just her. She'll get a massive payoff. But they'll get rid of her and look, she's gone. We'll put an end to it. The whole board need to go. Their share price has fallen 3% today, simply on her going. Anyone who's got a NatWest account needs to seriously consider whether they should stay with NatWest. Do their views align with NatWest's? And if they do go, will NatWest leak their details? This bank cannot be trusted. They are woke. They are anti-freedom of expression. Now, it doesn't matter that this particular case was Nigel Farage. Who's next? Will it be someone else? Will it be you? Will it be me? It doesn't matter. They seem to think they have the power. Now, the government are looking into this. They are looking at perhaps bringing in legislation. They're looking certainly at potentially removing the banking licence from banks that do this. And so there'll be a lot of very, very concerned bank directors, bank executives, and there'll be a lot of puckered anuses today, because if they do start removing banking licenses, that will cost them everything. I would say to anyone who's got money in the bank, in the NatWest, you may need to start considering getting it out a bit sharpish, because if a lot of people start saying, actually I'm closing my account and moving elsewhere, there'll be a run on the bank and you may not get anything at all. It may be just gone under and you lose everything. So it's a case now of go get your money while you can. This has happened before. You only have to think about BlackRock and Northern Rock about 10 years ago or so, when you had the queues in the street going down all the street and everyone was trying to get their money out, and then Northern Rock went completely under. People lost thousands upon thousands of pounds. It was an absolute run on the bank. It hasn't happened since, but given the way that NatWest are treating their clients and their customers, it may well happen again, especially with the share price going. So Nigel Farage has said that the entire board must go. They must be replaced. It's the only way the bank could ever be trusted again, and they need to bring in laws to stop this sort of thing happening, which looks like it may well happen. It's an ongoing story, but we're going to take a look at this now. Bit of a long lead in on this because it is a particularly important story, but we're going to take a look at this latest story now to see exactly what's going on. But it is the case of get woke, go broke, and let's make these woke banks collapse. They want to play silly games. They win silly prizes, and the silly prizes that NatWest needs to win is bankruptcy. We need to take all our money out and force them gone, and that'll send a message to these other banks that they're not to do it. We remember one important thing: we are many, they are few, and it is our money. Now go to your bank and take your money out and shift it over to another bank for now. And I would recommend independence. You know, things like Tide, Monzo, that sort of thing, Cash Plus, any of the little ones. They'll be glad to take your money. Anyway, here we go. We'll have a look at this story. So, Nat West carnage as shares plunge 3% after boss Alison Rose is forced to quit over the Nigel Farage debanking scandal. The thing is, here's the worst of it. Banks start debanking you, of course. You lose your identity. You cease to be a real person. You cannot exist. You cannot function. Can't pay your bills. Can't pay your mortgage. Can't pay your rent. Whatever. Simply because you have a view that some wanker in an ivory tower in a bank says, no, I don't like his political views. Let's just close his account. Let's close Nat West. Let's say to Nat West, you want to play those games? You want to close people's accounts? We'll close your company. And everyone who's got a Nat West account right now, go move your money into a different bank. Do it now. Do it right now. And let's see how far we can take this. Because once they start losing customers paying in every month, their cash flow is buggered and they are in deep shit. Let's put them in the position that they're trying to put us in. Why should we kowtow to the banks? Though the banks like Nat West, who with these high interest rates will take your house off you like that, and they won't be forced to sell it. They can own it and then they'll rent it out. They may even rent it back to you, but you'll never own a house again. That's what these people are doing. It's all money to the banks. Well, we can say no. We have the power. We can close those banks. We can destroy banks. And we need to do that. We need to pick one. And I think Nat West is the one we need to start with. So let's start with Nat West. We can destroy it. And then the others will think twice. Anyway, Nat West is engulfed in a full-blown crisis today after its chief executive was forced to quit over briefing the BBC about Nigel Farage's debanking. Shares have plunged by 3%, wiping hundreds of millions of pounds off the group's value, amid calls for the whole board to go over the scandal. Dame Alison Rose not only lost her job at the bank, but she's got 2 publicly paid positions within government as well. They've both gone today. One's on energy and one's on finance. She's lost both of them jobs. She's out. She is completely unemployed now. Anyway, Dame Alison Rose initially tried to cling on to a £5 million a year post, despite dramatically admitting she was behind the leaking of a customer's financial details. In fact, here's the thing. Farage is suing them, and under the rules, and given their size, they could face a fine of in excess of £17 million. That would be nice. That would be a starter. So if that goes through, that's another big chunk off that share price. Honestly, sell your shares. They are heading down. If you own shares in Nat West, get rid of them now because they're only going down. And if you've got money in there, get it out. But she finally fell on her sword in the early hours of the morning following an extraordinary intervention from the PM and the Chancellor, who made clear their significant concerns. The taxpayer still has a big stake in Nat West following the credit crunch. We don't have to. Let it go. Just let it go. Meanwhile, City Minister Andrew Griffith has read the riot act to other banks about woke culture at a virtual summit. They have all signed up to non-discrimination based on lawful freedom of expression. They've all seen what's just happened and they've all yes, and they've done that straight away because they know how bad this is. Mr. Farage hailed the departure as a start, but added the whole board needs to go after backing her abortive attempt to stay in the post. Senior Tories lined up between their long-term political foe in the battle against woke banking culture. You've got all these people who are actually his political enemies are backing him on this one because despite standing there on the political front and being his opponent, this transcends political life. You've got Keir Starmer, you've got the Tories, you've got Lib Dem leaders. You know, these are all, if you like, mortal enemies, but they're all standing firm and with Nigel Farage on this front because he is right. These arrogant, conceited banks should not have godlike powers over us. We have the power over them. We should close Nat West down today. Go get your money. Senior Tories lined up behind them, as I say. However, Mr. Griffiths insisted he did not think Chairman Sir Howard Davis should quit. I do. I think they should all go. They're all wankers. Do you know what the collective term for bankers is? It's a wunch. It's a bunch of bankers. Dame Alison stepped down with immediate effect in the early hours of the morning after admitting she was the source who told the BBC Mr Farage's account had been closed because he did not have enough money in it, which was not true. It is not clear whether she will receive any payoff. You can guarantee she will. She'll be the scapegoat, and so the bank will pay her off. Meanwhile, they'll be paying her off out of the money that you would be owed and might not be able to get once the bank starts losing money and goes down. So go get your money while you can. The board of that, and I'm not kidding, go and get your money. Seriously, if you've got a Nat West account, go and get it. Change your accounts. You can go in and get something else anytime you like. Bang, move your money. Do everything. It's a couple of days of mucking around with your direct debits. But trust me, you need to get your cash out. Take your cash out, move your cash to a different bank. Doesn't matter. Move it. And move it quickly, because once this goes, when a bank starts getting a run, it's really, really quick, and this bank is going to have a run. Anyway, the board of the NatWest Group held an emergency talks into the night on her future after she apologised for her serious error of judgment. No, her serious breaking of the law is what she meant to say. Bosses at the bank, which is 39% owned by the government, were locked in a power struggle after NatWest chairman Sir Howard Davis criticised her regrettable action, her breaking the law, and said yesterday the bank's board had full confidence in her. That goes to show that they need to go. They have full confidence in a woman who knowingly breaks all banking codes and laws. And they have confidence in her. They need to go. But the position embarrassingly reversed early this morning after pressure was piled on the beleaguered banking boss by number 10 and Chancellor Jeremy Hunt. Responding to the volte-face, Mr Farage says she's gone, and that's a start. But I have to say that the Coots Chief Executive Peter Flavel, NatWest Chair Howard Davis, it was the board that sanctioned this culture that talks about diversity and inclusion and is actually very divisive. Yeah, I mean, this is it. The banks want to be, we want diversity and inclusion, except when what you say goes against what we want you to say. You can only be diverse in the areas we want you to be diverse. We don't want diversity of opinion. We don't want diversity of thought. And we certainly don't want diversity of... what's the word I'm looking for here? Diversity of social engineering. We want to tell you what to think. We want to tell you how to think and when to think it. You must not have an individual thought of your own. If you do, we will destroy you. That's what these people are trying to do. Anyway, he added anybody on that board that backed the statement that they had confidence in her, that was put out at 17:42 yesterday. That's that confidence statement, which is a totally unsustainable and untrue statement. Anybody that backed that behaviour should be gone. And he is right. Now, he's gone on. This is a long piece, and I'm not going through it all. But basically, everybody is agreeing with him. Anyway, the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, has raised the possibility of taking further action because it is so terribly illegal. Sheldon Mills, the Watchdog's Executive Director of Consumers and Competition, said, "We made clear our expectation that these issues should be independently reviewed, and note today's statement from the NatWest Group Board confirming this will happen." Mr Mills stressed the need to investigate what has happened swiftly and fully, and it does need to be investigated. There needs to be prosecutions. The board need to resign, and you need to get your money out of NatWest, and you need to collapse NatWest and let it go. And then the other banks will never, ever do that, because they will then learn the lesson that we are many and they are few, and we own them because it's our money. Thank you very much. I'm coming up. Now, I want to say this again because you cannot emphasise hard enough or how important it is. When a bank run happens, it happens really quickly. It happens like you saw, as I say, 2008 it was, so 15 years ago. I said 10 years, 15 years ago, when Northern Rock went, they were queuing down the street. And in the end, Northern Rock was just saying, look, we can only give you £100 in cash. The banks didn't, the branches didn't have enough cash. People were going online. They were taking every penny they had out. They were selling shares. They were getting everything out. Everything went out of the banks. And Northern Rock went under. because people lost confidence in the bank. But it happened within 48 hours. If you leave money in the NatWest and it's gone in 48 hours, you'll never see that money again. The Ombudsman will guarantee you up to a certain amount, but beyond that, it's gone for good. And even then, you have to apply, and it takes weeks to get through. Whereas if you've got the cash and you move it now, bang, you've got the cash, and you don't have to worry when the bank goes. So I will say, anyone, get your cash out. If you've got an account in a different account, go and do it. If not, go on right now. Go online right now and open up another account. Like, there's plenty of them. There's plenty of these new independent banks. Pop them in there. And screw NatWest. Because the investigation goes, their shares will fall again. And once their shares start tumbling, people start selling because they don't want to get caught owning shares that are worthless. And so as they sell, the share price drops, and of course the share price plummets. And banks are legally obliged to hold cash to the value of whatever the share. There is a percentage of cash held or value of the held to the share price. And if the share price drops, then they have to buy those shares. They have to maintain it, which means they're using the money they have to buy their own shares back, which means they don't have that cash on hand. It is a very vicious circle, and that is why you need to look after yourself. Screw the others. Screw the bank. Screw the banks. Don't trust them. This is what they're like. So go get your money out. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for listening. I do hope this has been educational. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you see on here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. I would ask, it really does help the channel. It gets the message out. It keeps the truth coming. Do like this video especially, because we want this video to go out. So please press the like on this video, and we'll get as many out there as possible, and see if we can get this one to take, because we want as many people as we can to know that the bank is in big trouble and you need to get your money out. So please hit the like. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, get your money, and goodbye.